Welcome back to Brain on Fire. If you're here for the first time, hi. Hello. If you're here again for the second time from the second video, hello again. Thank you so much for coming back. Thank you for being so dope and for spending this time with me. It's so muggy outside and wet and raining and yeah, just muggy. And honestly, that's kind of the mood I'm in. I'm not feeling great. I feel like complete garbage, to be honest with you. But it's important to acknowledge that. It's important to acknowledge that, kind of take those losses, because then the wins feel that much better. When you're feeling great, it feels that much better because you acknowledge that you just weren't feeling so good earlier on. So the next time I'm feeling great, I'm gonna remember today. I gotta remember this feeling that I'm feeling right now, which is just not exactly on top of the world. So I spent some time in the last video, and that seemed to strike a little bit of a chord. I spent some time just randomly, this is all just off the cuff. I spent some time talking about Winnie the Pooh because he just randomly came to mind, and to be honest, I spend a pretty decent amount of time thinking about Winnie the Pooh and probably talking to whoever is willing to listen about Winnie the Pooh. I wanted to do Legos in a video, whether I finish them or not. There's no pressure, no expectations. But we're at the very least gonna start it. I got this really sick Lego set, and it's Winnie the Pooh, and it's his tree, I assume, that he lives in. It's located in the 100-acre woods with Mr. Sanders' sign on it. It looks like we have all our friends with us here. I'm excited to bust this one out. This is a really nice set. When I saw it in the Lego store, my eyes just lit the fuck up. This is way more pieces than I anticipated when I looked at the box. Didn't look like it'd be this much. Maybe we won't finish this today, but hey, I'll finish it in my own time and I'll edit it into the video. Maybe. Oh my god, there's drawings in here of Christopher Robin and Pooh in a lake using the umbrella as a little canoe. Pooh with his balloon and all his friends gathered together. This is just the most wholesome thing you will ever see. There's always bags inside of bags with Lego. There's always bags inside of bags. They said, we're gonna overwhelm you, we don't care. First things first, it's like puzzles, starting with the edge and the corners. You always separate the characters. You gotta grab the characters and start there. So we got Piglet here. We got Pooh here, star of the show. You gotta separate the characters. You gotta Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head the body parts together. Piglet's legs are in one of those small bags. Pooh and Piglet have joined the chat. Last video's beverage was bad. Yeah, to be frank with you guys, not for me. Tequila and club soda, just not my jam. This week we have a go-to for me, and a really cool cup, by the way. I love this cup. We have, it's an Irish mule. We're kind of, sort of, missing like a couple ingredients that your standard Irish mule is supposed to have, but I've got Jameson, ginger beer, and lime. Which is, if you've never had that very simple combo, you haven't lived. Just take my word for it. You haven't lived. Get it at a bar, make it yourself. It's super easy. And super delicious. Legos are a lot like life. They give you thousands and thousands of pieces that you have to put together, most largely on your own, with an instruction booklet that's years and years long. It's a lot like childhood. Legos are a lot like childhood. I guess that's the appeal, huh? And then they just send you out into the world and they say, here, go figure it out. I almost ended up getting a Harry Potter Lego set, but cancel culture, you know. No, I saw the Winnie the Pooh one and my eyes lit up. When I say my eyes lit up, there was a literal glow emitting from my eyes when I saw this Winnie the Pooh set. My little guy here. I feel a tangent coming. I'm not even doing Harry Potter Legos, but I feel a Harry Potter tangent coming. Harry Potter was my life growing up. It dictated the way I acted, the choices I made, my morality, my conscience, the circle that I kept, the way I viewed the world. Just everything about it just completely guided me in life. I did not love life. I did not like life. And it made me feel so seen. I grew up without a father. And we'll get into this too much now, but I grew up with a mother who I felt like completely resented me. And, you know, as a kid, what do you do with that emotion? You know, what do you do with that feeling? You bury yourself in another world and you completely live in it and let it take you over. I was really confused all the time. I felt like I was Harry in a lot of different ways, except in the books, Harry gets to go to all these places emotionally I could only dream of. It gets to have this satisfaction I could only dream of, so I lived through it vicariously. I would read the books imagining this was my life. I'd imagine I had these two best friends who completely understood me, who would never leave my side, no matter what, never judge me for the worst parts of me, accept me for every way that I was, and would follow me to the deepest depths of the earth. I'd imagine a Mrs. Weasley who was proud to be a mother figure to me, who embraced me and saved me from my shit home situation. I'd imagine I was the most popular kid in school. I'd imagine saving the world. And what that would fill me with, what that would compensate for in the other areas of my life. It's undefinable. It's a real priceless thing. That no pun intended, but that's the magic of media, of books, of film, television, movies, video games. It's just the magic of that. It's why I will ride so hard for media and all those things till the day I die. Getting completely lost in all these alternative realities. Just an escape. And I should address the elephant in the room. J.K. Rowling, who fucking sucks, and it sucks, and it's just a big fucking shitload of suck. Very shitty, transphobic elephant in the room. I do my best to separate the art from the artist. I feel like nowadays you're constantly pressed with those sorts of moral choices, I guess. It certainly gives me solace that the actors are also great. You know, I've kind of placed more stock in them than anything else. Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, particularly like Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe, are just like chef's kiss human being. Anyways, Mr. Potter, our new celebrity. As I'm finishing up this first level of the first bag of this Winnie the Pooh Lego set, I wanted to bring out a very special guest. He heard me talking about him last week, reached out to me, wanted to sort of speak for himself, and which I very much appreciated. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome the very first guest. This is a big deal, guys. The very first guest of Brain on Fire here, Winnie the Pooh himself. Hi, Pooh Bear. Thank you for stopping at Brain on Fire. It really, truly is an honor to have you here as the very first guest.
Hello there, Beverage. I felt it was important to get a few things off my chest.
Oh, okay. The floor is yours? Or should I say the 100-acre wood? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want everyone to know not everything is always sunflowers, balloons, and honey in the 100-acre wood. Sometimes I do lose my patience with Piglet. There is Eeyore's shit attitude. Christopher Robin constantly leaves me on red. Tigger can tend to wear me out. Then there is my biggest hater, Rabbit.
Wow, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were going through so much.
I didn't even mention that they made a movie about me, where I am a killer. Oh, bother. Those were dark times for Pooh.
I protested that movie.
Not hard enough, apparently.
You're right. I can do better. I can do so much better. We all can do so much better. Pooh, what would you like to leave us with?
Check in on your friends. Know that not everything is always as it seems. Always default to honey. And most importantly, don't be a hater.
There you have it from the GOAT himself, You know how long I waited to start this channel? How long I delayed it for? Because of fear. Fear will literally dictate your entire life. Fear is so powerful. It will dictate and control your entire life. Think of all the times you specifically, fear has stopped you from obtaining something. Not to make this one of those self-help podcast things, that's not really the point. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys about when fear has stopped you from obtaining something. It could be anything, like whether you didn't shoot your shot, go to a big job opportunity, apply to a school. It could be the smallest thing, like you were fearful to walk into a public library and get a book that you wanted. Like sometimes it's just that real. You were too scared to get on a plane to go somewhere and see the world. I certainly relate to that. You guys left me so many amazing comments, lots that I shed quite a few tears to over the last video, and I was just so heartwarmed over all of it that I think this week I'd love to hear about that from you guys, because fear is such a big topic for me, especially approaching this podcast and fighting through that just to get you guys this episode this time, when, like I said in the beginning, I feel like garbage. I hate how I feel right now. But a lot of the point of doing this is to fight through fear and to show that, you know, if I can fight through fear to accomplish something that's important to me, then you guys can too. Now, I'll share a more personal story about fear for me, unrelated to just sitting down and doing this episode for you guys. I mentioned earlier that I never met my father. I never grew up with him, never knew who he was, just didn't know anything about him. Was he alive? Was he dead? Where was he? How old is he? What did he look like? What were his interests? What was his favorite fucking color? All of this was such a pivotal lacking in my life, and I could have made I certainly thought about it all the time. I could have made the attempts to go find him, get the necessary information to figure out where he was. There was enough people to inquire within and find out. But what stopped me? It's fear. It's fucking fear. There's so many different things. It wasn't a one-dimensional fear. There's so many reasons that fully encompass that fear. I mean, what if he didn't want to hear from me? What if he didn't want to see me? What if that was the very last thing in this world that he wanted? I was so fearful. You guys know that Fresh Prince scene where Will Smith kind of has a breakdown because his dad doesn't show up. He hugs Uncle Phil, and it's the "why don't he want me" scene. It's such a powerful scene. It resonated with me so deeply, and every time I see it, I've never seen that scene and not completely broken down. I was resigned to these feelings, and he ended up passing away. He passed away like 5 or 6 years ago. And when I got the information, the feeling that I felt far more than fear was regret. The regret outweighed the fear so heavily. Regret that I didn't overcome my fear to just find out about him. I'll never get that back. And this is a really heavy example, but I think it's relevant as far as fear and how it can control us, and we can lose out on opportunities. And those opportunities fall into so many different categories. So I was watching Sex Education. I've been watching Sex Education. Great show, guys. Cannot recommend that show enough. It deals with reality so well, reality of teenagers particularly, but there's a lot of great characters in that show, adult characters included. One of the characters says with his whole chest, he's this grown, really grown man, grown guy, older guy. He says someone else is dealing with fear and fear of rejection. And he just says, fuck the fear. And he says it so confidently, fuck the fear. And I felt that so powerfully, where I just wanted to take all his energy and ingrain it into myself. Like, yeah, fuck the fear. Not the most mind-blowing sentence. Yeah, like, not the biggest quote that you'll ever see, but it shifted my perspective. It did something to me. Again, power of media. Power of media. That show is wild, though. An actual, realistic depiction of teenagers dealing with hormones. There's a scene in that show where these kids are in high school. It's like Euphoria, but realistic. This kid is in the school swimming pool, and he's got this crush on this girl who's outside the swimming pool in like the seats or whatever. And he's got an erection. And he's trying to hide it. And he can't get out of the pool. Because if he gets out of the pool, she's going to see his situation, obviously. This used to happen to me in middle school all the fucking time. Those textbooks came up so clutch. I would use them so consistently to hide my situation because I didn't know what the fuck else I was supposed to do. I had no control. It's like Spider-Man getting his webs, right? Sometimes they just shoot out. I remember a few times having to go to the front of the class and you'd have to like wipe down the chalkboard because the teacher would ask you randomly and I'd have that situation going on. And I'd just carry a textbook with me and look like a fucking weirdo. Look, we got so serious that I stopped building the Lego set. I'm gonna finish this Lego set. I'm not gonna finish it on camera, but much like the puzzle, which I finished off camera, I'm gonna finish this Lego set. One of the things that comes with bipolar disorder is increased irritability. And I've got that pretty bad. Yeah, it sucks because it's not part of the fabric of who I am, but when my condition is doing its finest work on me, my irritability is not great. Enhanced irritability, and this has massacred my ability to communicate. Massacred. It's definitely a huge driver in loss of relationships for me as well. It has certainly been in the past. Your reactions to things as a human is so important. It's one of the most underrated, I think, unspoken of things. It's just the way you react to things as a human being. It's just so massively important. And mine haven't always been ideal in my past when I didn't fully understand what was going on with me. Here's the kicker. I realized early on, unknowing anything about bipolar disorder and having that, but I realized early on that my reactions were poor and this irritability was an issue. And I realized that early on, I would feel insane. I would feel fucking insane. You hear the sirens in the background? That's what it would feel like in my brain. That's perfect timing. Brain on fire. That's why the channel's called that. It just make me want to explode, especially because by nature I'm so mild-mannered. And it just felt like I don't understand this part of myself. Who is this person? Why does he exist within me? It's not who I am at my core. Why do I have no control over this? And I'm also a person that has always thrived on control, so to have a lack of control of something so prevalent in your life is another thing that will just gnaw at you. So here's the kicker. It reached a point where instead of a reaction, I would work so hard on not having a reaction to anything. I would bottle everything up, and that became my new habit. That became who I was, the person that bottled everything up, because I didn't want to look like a freak reacting to things. I started to even lose touch about how I actually felt about things. I didn't know how I felt about things anymore because I was losing touch with what my real feelings were about things because I was just bottling up my real pure reaction. I would keep everything that might incite an emotional response from me to myself inside. But obviously there's a real issue with doing that, right? It's like shaking a soda bottle or a soda can. Eventually it's gonna pop. And then the person that's in the vicinity of the shaken soda can is the one that has to pay for it, and it's just not fair for anybody. So yeah, I wanted to touch on at least one bipolar thing in this episode, and we'll have that be the thing. And obviously I'll touch on more moving forward. And I'm happy to say that through medication and self-work, I made a ton of progress with that, and I'm really happy where I am with that in this moment, but there's always more work to do. Relationships, man, they're so hard. They're so hard, but at the same time, they're also so easy. I love love. I'm a sucker for love. My favorite tattoo is just the word love. It fills me with joy. It gives me so much joy to see happy couples. It just does something real nice to me. In my media though, film, TV, whatever it might be, I do love to see love, but I also love to see fights. Feed me the drama. Because it's not real. It's not actually happening in real life, right? It's not real, and it's not happening to me. Oh man, good fight in media. One of the top tier ones I've ever seen. One of my favorites, one of my go-tos when I'm just needing a little bit of spice in my life, visually and emotionally. I'll go watch the Star is Born scene in the bathtub. Come on, guys, it's so good.
You got nominated for a couple Grammys for that fucking song, Yummy. You got nominated. That's great. Now I'm just trying to figure out how the fuck that happened.
What are you talking about?
Girl, you got that yummy, 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 yummy. That song is trash.
My lyrics?
Yeah,
My song?
I know it's your song. I had to fucking listen to it over and over again.
Those lyrics go
Jesus
hard.
Christ.
You're not making any sense. Just keep fucking drinking.
You know, maybe I just failed you. Maybe I just fucking failed you. Yeah, you're embarrassing. You're
You
embarrassing.
failed me?
You
I'm
embarrass me. You're embarrassing. You embarrass me.
I'm embarrassing?
You're a goddamn embarrassment. You're embarrassing. I had to tell you. I gotta be honest with you. You're embarrassing. You're
mad you ain't got
embarrassing.
no hits.
You embarrass me. It's embarrassing. You need all this validation, and it's like I'm not enough. I'm sitting here with this sexy hair and this beard, and it just ain't enough for you. I got this beautiful voice, and I don't know what more you want me to do for you.
You know what I like? Is for my boyfriend to love me. My husband. Whoops, sorry.
Oh, your boyfriend? Who's your boyfriend? I ain't your boyfriend. I'm your goddamn husband. That hurts. That hurts my feelings. Hits me right in the feels. You call me your boyfriend?
You're my boyfriend if you don't treat me like your queen.
I don't even know what that fucking means.
It means clean your shit up. You're fucking messy. Okay, you don't know
Well,
what
that's
that
not
means.
true. I just did the dishes.
You wanna be my drinking buddy? I'll be your fucking drinking buddy.
I don't think you could handle that.
Here we
I'm
go.
pretty certain you couldn't
want me to
handle
be
that.
your
You
dad.
couldn't be my
You want me
fucking
to
daddy
be Winnie
if
the
you
Pooh
tried.
so bad. All you ever fucking talk about is fucking Winnie the Pooh and the 100-acre
You
wood.
couldn't be Winnie the Pooh if you fucking
Tell me
tried. He's
something,
got more talent in
boy.
his goddamn pinky than you got in your whole fucking body. So don't even fucking go there.
My bad.
That's over the fucking line. You're just fucking ugly. That's all. Coming at Winnie the Pooh. How goddamn fucking dare you? Fucking ugly.
Get out!
Love you guys. Thanks for spending this time with me. I swear I'm going to finish these Legos off camera. Give yourself grace and space.